Continuing from Genesis 18, verse 26. And the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Notes, we find here the humility of the great patriarch. Verse 28. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Will you destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it. And Abraham spoke unto him who was the Lord yet again, and said, Peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Notes, I think it can be easily said that the Lord delights in the believer pressing as it regards petitions and desires. Scripture. Peradventure there shall be 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. Notes, we are witnessing true intercession right here. Verse 33. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham. And Abraham returned unto his place. Notes, while the Lord now goes his way, he doesn't do so until Abraham ceases his petitioning. Abraham ceased asking before God ceased giving. We're now in chapter 19. And there came 2 angels, notes, referred to previously as the 2 men, Scripture, to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. Notes, Lot sitting at the gate probably denoted position and authority. He may have even been the mayor of Sodom for all we know. Scripture, and Lot seeing them rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Notes, from this action it is possible that the 2 angels revealed themselves and their mission consequently to Lot at this time. Verse 2. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, unto your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go on your ways. Notes, as it regards Abraham and Lot, the Lord remained to commune with the patriarch, while he merely sent his 2 angels to Sodom as it regards Lot. Scripture, and they said, No, but we will abide in the street all night. Notes, in fact, the angels, as we see here, didn't even desire to enter into the house of Lot. What a rebuke that actually is. And Scripture, and he who was Lot pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him and entered into his house. Notes, the angels, on their particular part, had to be pressed to accept hospitality from the nephew, which they at once accepted from the uncle. Fellowship with the world hinders and limits communion and makes the soul more or less lethargic. Scripture, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Notes, the unleavened bread speaks of Christ. Verse 4. But before they lay down, notes, retired for the night, Scripture, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, who were homosexuals, compassed the house round about, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. Notes, the principle of evil, which the Bible calls sin, and which has wrought such ruin in the human nature, painfully appears in this chapter. Sodom is the end result of the reprobate mind. You can look for more information in Romans chapter 1, verse 24 to 28. Scripture, and they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to you this night? Note, the sin of homosexuality was the primary sin which occasioned the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. If you don't believe that, read Jude verse 6 and 7. Scripture, bring them out to us that we may know them. Notes, the words know them pertain to the loathsomeness of the homosexual act. They were basically attempting to anally rape these people. Verse 6, and Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after them. Notes, he locked the door to his house, so these depraved men could not enter. Scripture, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not do so wickedly. Notes, the text, it marks this sin as unspeakably vile by telling us that they commanded Lot to bring out his guests so that they could seduce them publicly and in the sight of the whole population. They had lost all sense of shame and decency, for they make no attempt at perpetrating this shameful vice in secret. They wanted to do this openly and, quite frankly, very sickeningly. Verse 8, Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do you to them as it is good in your eyes. Notes, wisdom from the lukewarm believer is always flawed, and you have just witnessed it. Scripture, only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Notes, we cannot profit by the world and at the same time bear effectual testimony against its wickedness. Verse 9, and they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Notes, it seems that Lot, however, had spoken out against these things so often that the men of Sodom accused him of wanting to play the judge. Scripture, Now will we deal worse with you than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. Notes, due to Abraham having rescued many Sodomites from, Chedorlaomer, evidently these homosexuals had declared Lot, the nephew of Abraham, off limits. But now, due to Lot's protection of the 2 angels, they are breaking their commitment to him. Verse 10, But the men, who were the 2 angels, put forth their hand. Notes, literally, they opened the door and grabbed Lot. Scripture, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. Notes, little did these perverts know as to who these men actually were. Verse 11, And they smote the men who were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. Notes, the word in the Hebrew actually means that they were not totally blind, but that they would not see properly. And we will continue in Genesis chapter 9, verse 12. Thank you for your time, and God